for juvenile court. And Denise Nancy Rini is with us. And I think Jennifer L. O'Malley is not here. You are here? Good to have you. Nice to see you. Good to see you too. Well, let's start with Jennifer O'Malley. What qualifies you to be a judge?
Thank you. So I am Jennifer O'Malley. I have been an assistant Cuyahoga County prosecutor for my entire legal career. I initially started in our juvenile court unit where I spent a couple of years handling misdemeanor and felony cases. I then moved into our general felony unit handling a wide variety of felony cases from low-level drug and theft offenses up to and including felonious assaults, robberies, homicide cases, sexual assault cases. From there, I moved into a specialized unit called economic crimes, where I primarily focused on multi-co-defendant fraudulent prescription pill ring cases. So I had a front row seat to the opioid epidemic that is plaguing our county. And then for the past year and a half, I have been in the Internet Crimes Against Children unit, where I handle cases involving the online sexual exploitation of children. So we have a lot of offenders out there that are using social media and electronic devices to prey upon our children, and those are the types of cases that I handle on a regular basis. I handle those in adult felony court as well as in juvenile court. So I have handled just about every single type of criminal case that would come before a judge in juvenile court, and I believe that that's what makes me qualified to be a judge. Thank you.
What factors do you consider when deciding whether a minor should be tried as an adult?
So there's certain statutes that you have to follow and certain laws where some offenses based on your age or the type of offense that you're committing leaves the judge really no other choice than to bind a child over. So if someone commits a homicide case and they're 16 or 17 years old, the only thing that you really have to do is have a hearing before you where you have to determine whether there was probable cause that that child committed that offense. So if there is probable cause, then that child is automatically bound over to the adult division. However, when you do have some types of offenses that would be a discretionary bind over, there are a lot of different factors that you can determine and whether, based on the age of the child, if there's sufficient time to rehabilitate them within the juvenile system. I think you need to look at a lot of different factors that brings that child into court before you. What's their background like? What prior cases do they have, if any, in juvenile court? What types of offenses are their priors? Do they have any drug-related issues, mental health issues? So it just depends on the type of case that is before you, on whether it's a mandatory bind over or a discretionary bind over. And then there's certain factors even that the statutes provide you with that you need to look at in determining whether they should be tried as an adult or not.
Thank you. Denise Nancy Rini, what are your qualifications to be judge in juvenile court?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, and especially to the pastors. I've been a judge at juvenile court for 5 years, 8 months, and 25 days. And I went to law school when I was 40, specifically to practice juvenile law. I took the bench approximately 6 years ago. I was a guardian ad litem. I represented the abuse, neglect, dependency docket, because juvenile court isn't only about delinquencies. We have private custodies, child support, we have traffic, so that 16-year-old that you have teenager that's driving now, they all come through juvenile court. Delinquency, sure, is part of it, but when you look at our delinquency stats, we have had just the same number of youth that have come through from the suburbs that we have from the inner city. It's about even at about 2,300. So juvenile court is the most important court. It's where we can actually make a difference in the lives. Since the 6 years I've took the bench, Judge Floyd and I started the warrant recall program, which recalls warrants for people that are behind on their child support. We make sure that they get their driver's license back, they get on track, they pay their child support. I started the Safe Harbor docket, which are for youth that have been trafficked, and we've had over 100 youth been interviewed and sex trafficked in our neighborhoods. I'm also the teen drug court jurors, meaning that if you're caught with any drugs, whether it be opioids or marijuana, you have to finish our program. There's 3 phases, and you have to complete it successfully. We take away their cell phones. If you want to pry a cell phone out of a 16-year-old's hands, it's like they absolutely cry, because that's like their life. And we also have the reentry program for youth that are coming out of ODYS. I don't think we need to send everyone to adult prison, especially if they're 14 or 15 years old.
Speaking of that, when do you decide whether a minor should be tried as an adult?
Well, the easiest ones are if you're 16 or 17, you have a gun in your hand, then I don't have any jurisdiction. I lose it automatically upon the finding of probable cause. But I can honestly say that a 14-year-old who doesn't have a gun specification and doesn't have a juvenile history does not belong in the adult system. And that is some of the cases that are coming through. The prosecutor will file a motion to transfer the youth to the general division. I had a 14 and a 15-year-old, both on my docket. And we did an amenability hearing. So first we have the probable cause, and I found that there was probable cause, and then we have an amenability hearing, meaning are they amenable to juvenile court? After the amenability hearing, then we have to have a serious youthful offender disposition, and that is when they actually have an adult sentence that may hang over their head.
Do we have a question from the audience out here? On juvenile court.
I had a question. How long have you practiced in juvenile court, and specifically, how many custody cases have you handled?
So I started in juvenile court. I spent the first approximately 2 years as a prosecutor over there in the delinquency unit. I did not handle any custody cases. And then I'm currently in the Internet Crimes Against Children unit, and I've been in that for 1.5 years, and I do handle cases over in juvenile court on those types of cases as well.
Another question here.
In a system that kind of seems, when it comes to custody, a little biased towards the mom and not the dad, what do you consider when it comes to custody battles between 2 parents?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, actually, surprisingly, most of the judges, Judge Floyd and I are the only ones that hear private custody. And I can tell you that when I award custody to a father because the mother is withholding the child, that's number 1 for me. Is the child going to school? How old is the child? What are their sibling relationships like? And I actually awarded custody to a young man that mom was in the Army, but she would not ever tell the dad where the child was. So he would spend time chasing this child all around the country. The child was 5 years old. I'm like, you're done. So that's number 1. Are they cooperating? I always start at shared parenting. Shared parenting should be the default because both parents need to raise it. It is not visitation, it is parenting time. And I insist that they speak to their child every single day, whether it's by phone, by text message, by smoke signals. You need to parent every single day. So cooperation is really key for me.
You want to take a piece of that? I mean, we're in our final 1 minute. We'll stretch it to maybe 1.5 minutes or 2. We deal with a lot of issues regarding children in our society. If you had a magic wand, what would you do? What would be your suggestion so that we don't have to deal with children in trouble?
That's a great question. I think that we can, in juvenile court, as judges, we're kind of limited into what we can do with our juveniles, but I think that we can expand upon some of the program that we have over there. I also do have some ideas that if I were elected that I would like to implement. One would be a mentorship program with some of our neighborhood activists who have been through the system themselves to get involved with our juveniles from the onset of their cases to try to mentor them and lead them on a path of not continuing to commit future crimes. Another thing is, I think, job opportunities. So I am the daughter of a former labor leader. My dad was with the electricians for over 30 years, and I grew up in a blue-collar household, and I believe in the benefits that unions can have for a family as well as our community. So I'd like to collaborate with the building trades in our community to try to provide awareness and job opportunities to our juveniles so that they know that there are other opportunities out there available to them.
You want to take the part of this?
Same question? Okay, well, first, the youth that are in my courtroom that are on probation, I order them to go to their local church. I don't care what church it is, and I can't make them go to church, but they have to sit down with the pastor and their probation officer. And they have to hook themselves into a mentor through the men's group. Because I find the men's group, almost every church has the men's group. We've been doing this for about 9 months. And it seems to work really well when the probation officer steps up to the plate and makes sure that the youth contacts the person every single day. They have to call. And sometimes they have a good day and they just want to tell someone that they met a really cute girl. The other one is maybe they had a bad day. Well, regardless of what it is, I want them to be able to be hooked into the community so that when the gangs call or when that call to do something that they know is going to get them in ODYS or in jail, or in our system, they have somebody to reach out to, because every single youth will come back to the community. So I'm all about programs and education.
Ladies and gentlemen, Denise, Nancy Rini, and Jennifer L. O'Malley running for